Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode where I talk over a game, and today I wanted to talk about being put in a box. Well, currently I'm on a box in the screen, but the thing is even if they don't know about your diagnosis or potential diagnosis, as somebody with autism or ADHD, you get put in boxes a lot, and of course, the more, I guess, you're on the spectrum, the more boxes you get put in. Now, interestingly enough, before, like a couple of years ago, I worked mostly IT jobs, and I didn't really have this issue because I think I've mentioned that in another video as well about work. Usually in IT sectors or something, there are quite a few neurodivergent people or people who tolerate that better. I don't know exactly how that works. But anyway, so I worked in that field for a long time, and it wasn't really until I stopped working in that field and went in more of an HR direction, or at least an educational direction, that people started acting differently. Well, not the same people, they weren't there, but I got more people around me who apparently we're not used to that or something. I'm not entirely sure. Like, usually HR is like a very people-oriented type of profession. I'm not necessarily HR, I'm more on the educational side, but the people that work there, they're more likely to be neurotypical because those are mostly people, I guess, people pleasers. I don't know how you call that, people persons. And they just don't understand when you're not as sociable as they expect of people or something. It's always like people tend to have an idea of what a person should be like, and the idea is what they like and what they are like themselves. And then somebody with ADHD or autism or AuDHD, like in my case, shows up and they kind of start looking at you like, Anyway, so what I tend to notice a lot is that there is a lack of structure. Now, I'm not somebody who necessarily has everything super worked out. Like, they think that everything at my house is like completely spick and span and all organized with little labels and stuff like that, but that's like the furthest away from the truth possible. What I do notice though is I like efficiency, and when I see things not being efficient, I try to step in to make it efficient. So now I have been put in a box of, you always have to have structure around you. You always have to have the planner tool open. And if something's not in the planner tool, then you're lost for words and you don't know what to do and stuff like that, which is also not true because I'm perfectly okay. But if things are not efficient, then it bothers me. Then I like to push people to be a little bit more efficient and a little bit less chaotic. But since they are used to being that way, like a whole team is like that, so they have a certain way of doing things, and then you do things slightly differently, and then suddenly everything that you do differently, that's the box you get put in, like the structure, and that I always have to have things worked out beforehand. Like, whenever something new pops up, I want to know all the details about what it is that the other person is expecting and stuff like that, because I've seen very often that when somebody comes in with a request and you assume that you know what they want, you go to work, you do the thing, that the person then does not want what you've made. Ultimately, like, the result does not match what they had in mind. Now, often the person who comes to ask you these requests or requests of you doesn't always know the details themselves either, but by asking them, like, would you like it like this, would you like it like that, would you like it this color, this size, that size, how big, how small, whatever, they'll start to think about it, and then eventually you'll end up with something that's going to come roughly in the direction of what it is that they do want, and that result is going to get a much better review overall. But if people around you are not used to that, they think it's strange, and then they kind of laugh at you for wanting to know things beforehand as though you are completely lost without it. Like, I can't possibly do anything unless I've asked these 20 questions of this other person. Which is not true, because I can probably guess what a lot of people want, but I want to be sure so I don't produce something that they don't want, ultimately, so that's why. But okay, so other boxes that you tend to get put in, being antisocial, being arrogant, being haughty, I guess is kind of the same thing, but just because of your expression on your face, they think, this person is cold, they think they're better than us, and stuff like that, which is also not true, which is also like a bit of a masking issue. People may have a certain mask on that gives off a certain vibe, even though it's unintentional. People will think that you are serious about it, and that's another thing that I notice. My sense of humor is very dry, and it can go like to an extreme. Like an example, somebody starts with a question, they're not even done halfway through the question, and I'll say no. Like, we're not going to do that. Like, it's obviously ridiculous that I would do that if I were serious, which I'm not. But people seem to think that I'm serious when I do that, and then I get the feedback once a year. Oh, you're so rude. Oh, you're so direct. And I don't know what to say to you because I'm scared of what reaction you're going to give and stuff like that. On that topic, I also want to note, for whatever reason, people do not give feedback like when they're supposed to. We had several sessions in 1 year, at least once a month, where we were supposed to give feedback to our team members so that we could work together better. And during none of those sessions, I was told that I was blunt and direct and all these other things. Then we had a generic feedback session for like one we do usually at the end of the year, which is also kind of close to the work eval thing that we have once a year. And then everything comes out. And then they're surprised that it upsets me that I'm suddenly being told that I'm all these things because we had all these different sessions throughout the entire year. I heard no feedback. Also, during the rest of the year, on the regular work days, I didn't get any of that feedback. Nobody told me these things. But they seem to think that by telling you that once a year, that is going to be enough information for you to now be a better person for the rest of the year. I'm not entirely sure how they think that works. Maybe neurotypicals work that way, but I certainly can't change something mid-year if nobody's ever told me that there's something wrong with what I'm doing or that they just don't appreciate what I'm doing. But apparently I had been put in a box there as well as the person who cannot accept feedback, even though I was the one who suggested the sessions throughout the year in the first place. But okay, so I'm not really sure who's in the wrong there. The truth will probably be somewhere in the middle. In any case, they had their shot, they didn't take it, and then I ended up in the box anyway. And I'm the odd one out who does all the direct stuff. That means I'm wrong, obviously, and I should be the one to change. But alright, we'll see about that. Anyway, it's pretty frustrating to be put in boxes, particularly when people either don't know or don't care that you're on the spectrum, because they just don't understand you, and they're also not really trying to understand you. I think that's the thing that frustrates me the most. People just kind of assume that you're wrong because they don't understand what you're doing, and they assume that you're wrong because you're doing something that they would not do or doing things differently. And of course, the way that they do things is perfect and the way to do things, and that's why you are wrong and you need to change. So that's great. Good luck trying to get out of that box because you're never actually going to be exactly like they want you to because you just don't have that capacity. I mean, you can mask, but I've talked about masking before. It only really gets you so far. Anyway, so frustrated about boxes. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the topic of boxes. Have you been put in boxes? What boxes have you been put in? Have you managed to climb out of them? Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video and hope to see you in another video. Thanks for watching and bye bye for now.